beautiful game returns to One Spokane Stadium in Washington as the hometown team, Spokane Zephyr FC, searches for their first victory of the inaugural USL Super League campaign. In their way, though, the final team to debut this season, Brooklyn FC. I'm Jessica Charman alongside Eric Dobransky. And Eric, Zephyr FC picked up their first point in the opener, but how did it go down?
Yep, getting started early in the 17th minute. Amina Ekic converts a penalty that she earns, that 1v1 duel in the half space. Spokane carried that 1-0 lead until the 72nd minute. Addie McCain receives this wide service from Felicia Knox to equalize, and this is a match that Fort Lauderdale United outshot Spokane 11-7 and slightly won the possession battle, but Spokane picks up 1 point at home.
Now the player to watch right now for Spokane Zephyr FC has to be Marley Canales, a player that head coach Joe Johnson is high on.
Yeah, and it's all about balance that Canales showcases. Is off the ball, the ability to disrupt, screen passes, win those defensive duels higher up the field, and then on the ball, the creativity, the playmaking ability that she presents.
Now the newest kids on the block, today's opponent, Brooklyn FC. It's time to meet them. Founded June 8, 2023, located, of course, in Brooklyn, New York, will play their games at Maimonides Stadium, but unfortunately have yet to be able to debut due to their first game being postponed. That being said, tonight is Brooklyn FC's first match in club history. Relatively unknown, but they're looking to set a statement today in their first minutes against Spokane. And a player that's going to be absolutely key for Brooklyn FC is superstar goalkeeper Sydney Martinez, a 2022 W League champion, Golden Glove winner, and even the final MVP. Martinez in net, absolutely key to this side.
And you said it, and it's controlling those initial exchanges, the overall command of the box, the physicality she plays with, fighting through traffic, and the distribution in that passing range.
Kickoff coming up soon here from One Spokane Stadium as Spokane Zephyr FC take on Brooklyn FC. We'll be back after this short break as USL Super League kickoff coming up on Peacock here in Washington.
New flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador. Spiked bebidas.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, trick. I said what I said. I don't care. I paint the town red.
If you can survive this, it's going to make the whole story that much better.
The bright horses are broken free from the fields.
Welcome back to USL Super League action from One Spokane Stadium in Washington. Jessica Charman here with you. And we are underway here as we get a look at the lineup for Spokane Zephyr FC. Joe Johnson has made 2 changes.
And this is a team that wants to stack performances and grow from that previous match against Fort Lauderdale United. They want to be dominant on the ball, create overloads out wide, look for Ekic and Reese to be dangerous in those spaces. And then in the back, Clark and Cummings, they'll set the team defensively with goalkeeper Izzy Nino.
And when we take a peek over to Brooklyn FC, Eric Dobransky, what do you like about this inaugural lineup, the first ever lineup for acting head coach Kristen Sample?
It's going to be about initial exchanges. How do you adapt? How resilient are you in those initial exchanges? They want to be explosive in the attack. They'll look to exploit spaces vacated in those overloads Spokane create. Watch this midfield of Yapel, Kroger, and Breslin to set the pace for this team and lean on outside backs, Scarpelli and Rosette, to win their 1v1 battles both defensively and offensively.
The first ever 11 for Brooklyn FC, but Jo Johnson, head coach for Spokane Zephyr, she brings something special with her collegiate experience.
Yeah, and really pleased with her team's performance in that first match against Fort Lauderdale United, and it's had a break after that match, obviously a couple weeks here for training, so you can fine-tune, look at some of the details that you want to grow in and evolve in, not only for just this match but throughout this season. So I think that development is so important for a team in Spokane that opened the season with 4 straight home games.
And Brooklyn FC will be led today by acting head coach Kristen Sample. She has a stellar background in goalkeeping. That can be a great component for reading of the game.
It is, and I think that's going to be important for the coaching staff, the players. It's problem solving and collaboration real time. This is the first time everything's, you can practice all the scenarios you want. You can make it as player up, player down, goal up, goal down scenarios. You can build all sorts of scenarios in training, but until you're actually in that game environment, that's going to be something for them to take a look at here early on.
You can never replicate those real life minutes, and that's exactly what Brooklyn FC are going to get today. 90 minutes of action against Spokane Zephyr FC. Get a peek of those Brooklyn FC jerseys, light gray, Spokane Zephyr in the black. Style has certainly been something USL Super League can be proud of with those uniforms. Referee in the middle today is going to be Adere Monroy. ARs will be Salma Perez, Emily Gomez, and fourth official this afternoon is Kelsey Harmes. Again, Jessica Charman alongside Eric Dobransky, and we are underway. Welcome to USL Super League, Brooklyn FC. They'll go direct early on from left to right. Spokane in the black from right to left. They'll get underway with early possession, chipping the ball forward. Referee sees something she doesn't like, will pull it back now for the set piece for Spokane. Take it short. Back to Izzy Nino in goal, the former A-League player. Will be disappointed to have conceded in that debut game.
Yeah, 18 minutes away from a clean sheet in that home opener.
And let's take a look, Eric, at your keys to the game for today. You've talked about Spokane needing to set the tempo and Brooklyn FC being adaptable.
And I think one of our conversations going into this match was, how do you prepare for a team that has not kicked off yet? You don't have a game to look back on, formation, setup, game model. You don't have those things to look at that maybe typically Brooklyn had to look at Spokane's first game against Fort Lauderdale. So set the tempo early, make them adjust to you. And for Brooklyn, the adaptability. Brooklyn FC, it's about being adaptable, being resilient in what you see here in a lot of these initial exchanges.
Keys of the game brought to you by Ford. So the ball goes out far side. Be a throw-in for Spokane. They toss it in. It's cleared away. Brooklyn looking to try and find their possession now. Dispossessed. Great tackle. Spokane on the counter. Square ball into Canales. Trying to find the overlap. Trickles down. Be taken away now by Reese. She'll reset through Braun. Spokane with some nice touches here as Braun in a big challenge, fouled by Emily Yapel. Sets up a free kick here. And tonight's injury report is brought to you by Kinetic Chiropractic, a modern approach to chiropractic care. Spokane with just the one player out for selection. Walker, you can see Brooklyn with plenty of names on those lists.
And I know we're only 3 minutes in, but you have to like the pace in which Spokane is playing. Good tempo on each pass, the positioning, the movement.
Beautiful possession from Spokane, looking to distribute wide. Great idea to look to unleash Katie Murray on that left-hand flank. It'll go out for a throw, and captain Samantha Rosette will take it. Rosette trying to wind through traffic. Great first look at the skipper. She lays it across now. Brooklyn with an opportunity outside the 18, recycling it back. Scarpelli. Great little cut back, but thwarted by a good challenge.
And I think early on, you're gonna get a good look at what both these teams, how they want to set up in possession. But as this game wears on, it's about what do you look like in transition, both attacking and defensive, and what do you look like defending in that final third.
Yape will put that cross in. It was blocked away, but it will be a deep attacking throw for Brooklyn FC. And considering these are their first minutes playing competitively as a unit, so far impressed with their chemistry, Eric.
Yeah, I think you have to be this early on. I mean, it seemed connected, collective. They've absorbed a bit of the possession earlier on, but obviously Rosette with that terrific 1v1 offensive duel, about 40, 45 yards away from goal to create some space.
Just saw a foul pulled back, a little overzealous in the attack. Brooklyn FC, Spokane will opt to try and possess. Another uncharacteristic lack of chemistry there with the connectivity, and tapped out of play for another throw-in. Rosette will get a second bite at the apple, tossing it down the line, flicked on. Chasing this one down is George. George using her strength to spin. Great work by Mackenzie George. Tries to square the ball, blocked away. George still dueling outside the box, wins the duel. George cutting inside, blocked. Should set up our first corner kick of the game, and does. This is the ICCU corner kick, your financial success fan club.
And to your point just a few moments ago about how fluid and connected this Brooklyn FC look early on in the season, you can see the numbers that are committed in the 18-yard box when they get that ball wide, earning this first corner of the match.
Graziano will take the corner when she gets the opportunity. Referee Andore Monroy just letting her presence be felt, talking about the positioning of the Brooklyn FC offense on Izzy Nuno in goal. Will be an in-swinger incoming. Put in by Garazione. Keeper comes to punch, doesn't quite get there. It is cleared though. Rosette will swing this one back into the danger zone, headed clear.
And good traffic for Brooklyn FC in and around Nino.
Felt like a very targeted corner early on by Jess Garziano to put that under the crossbar. Izzy Nino does enough. So long throw-in down the line. Another physical battle. Referee this time again penalizes Brooklyn FC in the challenge. It's interesting to see the referee Andore Monroy set the tone early with the offensive fouls. Clark dinks the ball forwards, headed back where it came from. Garziono, strong in the challenge. Select, the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice.
And a lot of the times when you see teams, especially playing for the first time, and even as they grow into an early season, it's on the ball that takes a bit more time to collectively get on the same page, get into rhythm, the fluidity of the movement, especially when space is at a premium in that final third where you lack some of those channels to play into. Defensively, it becomes a bit easier to get your structure because you don't need the ball to be good defensively. You can just use that spacing, and this game, every game is a battle of distances. Who can win the battle of distances? That distance between the back line, the midfield, the forward line, angles in which you can defend.
Bourgeois will spin and recycle with her back line in Cummings. She'll switch across to her fellow CB and Sarah Clark. Spokane trying to maintain the possession, set the tempo in their home building with a long switch forward. Sydney Martinez caught off her line a little bit, able to recover with the ball at her boots. And that's the risk that comes with being a very aggressive goalkeeper, that if players are aware, they might test Martinez.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on the rest of this match. Do you get a ball at midfield and you feel like you can test and clip one into space? But you can see right now some of the difficulty for both these teams is in that build, trying to find those outside backs who they want to insert in the attacking moments.
Spokane trying to find a way to break down this resilient Brooklyn back line right now, getting plenty of bodies back behind the ball. There's Murray into Braun. Braun blocked away by Rosette.
And we saw the first 3 minutes of this match. Spokane looked like they had the tempo possession-wise, and now last few sequences have belonged to Brooklyn FC. Obviously, you're going to deal with the ebbs and flows of a match, but how does each team use moments to grow into that match? Brooklyn FC turning the ball over higher up the field on Spokane, pressing in good moments, screening passes.
Just saw Yapel called for the foul on the back of Marley Canales. Canales, a pivotal player, but this time caught in possession. Brooklyn trying to thread that pass forward. The target, Mackenzie George, she'll get on the end of it. It's been dangerous down this right-hand side so far. Gets the nutmeg. George into the 18, squares the pass. Blocked by Spokane.
Right now, Brooklyn FC just winning the ball in higher areas. And when you do that, you have good numbers forward, and you could see them exploiting that right side with George.
High press fruitful as Pluck earns the free kick. Mackenzie Pluck picked up that possession in the middle of the park, put her head down, drove, and was fouled for a dangerous set piece for Brooklyn FC.
Here's a look at the replay here, and catching Pluck on that right foot and earning Brooklyn FC a free kick in a positive area. Earn the early corner, and now getting a good look at how Spokane wants to set up defensively.
Hope Breslin will have the service. Breslin puts it towards that back post area, and Breslin will be disappointed in that service. Brooklyn FC need to make more of those sorts of opportunities.
Yeah, you need to put that ball where gives your team a chance to test the goalkeeper, or at least get a good look at how Spokane drops and defends and organizes on those free kicks.
Clark traveled that ball forward up to Taran Reese. Splitting pass. It's just overhit. And we've talked to Spokane's coaching staff, and Joe Johnson talked so much about the community today. Hispanic Heritage Appreciation Night, representing the Latinx community. They had a sellout crowd at the first game. They've really connected with the Spokane community so well, Eric.
Yeah, and said that this is what separates this organization, is the community involvement, the players' involvement in the community as well. They've done some tremendous work in the weeks leading up to the season opener, and will continue to do so. And this community has been terrific in the support of this team, this organization, and it just adds to the excitement of this inaugural season.
And you hear it in the atmosphere right now. The full band has arrived at One Spokane Stadium, and the 12th player advantage is such a thing in the beautiful game. See a crunching tackle through traffic, and Murray picks it up. Big switching pass, blocked away, but still with possession. Second ball's becoming key in this matchup as it goes out for a goal kick. We've still got a player down right now for Brooklyn FC. See how it took place. It's a crunching tackle down on the ground right now. Hope Breslin, your thoughts on this challenge, Eric?
Yeah, it looks like Breslin gets that right foot planted. Looks like left foot planted on the turf and gets that tackle and still down. And early in the match, Breslin has had heavy involvement in this midfield, not only as a disruptor and defensive presence, but on the ball. Saw her on the delivery for that free kick.
Scan now and you will win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you, Caruso's, De Leon's Taco Bar, The Burger Dock, Flat Stack Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's, Casa Tap House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub. Footballer fuel. As we see, Hope Breslin back up on to her feet, walking off gingerly, but those are the kind of tackles that let you know you're in for a battle on the field.
Yeah, and hopefully she's okay to return. And both these teams have got to be looking at this first 15 minutes. What shape are each team in terms of, I know their starting positions in terms of that overall shape, but what does the shape become in the attacking half? What does it become in the defensive half? And then problem solve throughout this first 45. And for Spokane, right now, they're just misfiring in that middle third in the build. They're doing a great job of building through that back line into the midfield and then just missing that final pass to break them into the final third.
I think you're right. Some of that misfiring has led to the fact we're still shotless through the first quarter of an hour here from Washington. So another challenge comes flying in. A yellow card will be shown. As we get a look, it is Spokane's Taran Reese getting the yellow card, and an early caution for the 25-year-old Reese from Washington.
And here we get another look at the foul, and it's like gets the touch on the ball first. I guess it's the contact to follow through that referee's seeing, and obviously being in that position.
I think you're going to see Taran Reese a little frustrated with that call. It now affects the way she has to play. It's a long, long match now playing on a yellow card. Played 90 minutes in the season opener.
And especially for a player that is so active in those 1v1 duels, both offensively and defensively.
Ball split across to Alison Pantuso. She'll try to release an overlapping Samantha Rosette. It's headed away ahead of her. Samantha Rosette, the captain, who's actually featured in the Women's Champions League for a side in Kazakhstan, brings elite pedigree, but hailing from the Bronx. Really special story for the skipper, as she'll throw this one down the flank. Be popped away, but not convincingly. It was Katie Murray with that last effort. Murray will switch the field, or try to at least, but it's picked up by Brooklyn FC. Swung into an area by Scarpinelli, but Scarpelli just overhit that one, and that's really been the story of the first 17 minutes. Good ideas, execution lacking.
It has, but right now, Brooklyn FC has to be happy with their defensive posture. The way that they're winning possession higher up the field. They're forcing Spokane into difficult turnovers. And when they've committed numbers going forward, now you just need to reward yourself in those moments, complete that final action, or complete that final 1v1 action as well. You could see Brooklyn FC attacking along this right side, this left side with Katie Murray, the left back from Spokane.
As Clark put it forward into Vigiano. And now on that flank is Reese. Reese trying to cross it towards the 6, headed away in front of the goalkeeper. George will connect with Rosette, and Rosette tries to send it clear. Eventually, Brooklyn FC combining for the clearance, and the referee will pull it back for a foul.
And you also see Spokane being very deliberate and intentional with where that ball is going to from that middle third, those wide spaces. You see Joe Johnson here was very adamant about creating those overloads out wide, winning those spaces. And when you do that, we've already seen Scarpelli getting in the attack, Rosette getting in the attack. You pin those outside backs a bit deeper.
It's a nutmeg, tidily done through the legs by Katie Murray, but Murray wasn't able to earn the throw-in. Some nice little skills on display by Murray. So many storied professionals on this roster. Murray played in the Netherlands, Finland, Spain, and now getting to come back to the US and feature in the USL Super League. That's exactly what this league is creating, opportunities for players to come home and play pro at an amazing level. Reese just can't connect with the drop off to Murray. It'll be out for a Brooklyn FC throw. And from your coaching experience, Eric, how do they start to clean things up? How can they get rid of these wayward passes and make sure they're connecting in the attacking third right now?
I think some of it comes to just overall positioning and the movement. Every ball has a different story. As that ball moves, you just need to find and create some different spaces, and that's something that you can do as this game wears on, as you grow into it. This is a team that wants to dominate the ball, as we mentioned in the open, so they're going to continue to ask different questions of not only positional play, but different spaces that are available throughout this match.
Ball was sent forward. Rosette gets underneath it, but her header falls into the path of Vigiano. Gets it back up the 1-2. Vigiano, square pass, and another good look. Was a splitting pass searching for Taran Reese. Reese just didn't quite make the run.
And you could see early on in this match, both teams exchanging moments where they can break bigger lines of pressure. They get defenders focused on the ball, and they're able to manipulate that space in between.
High press from the Zephyr. There's a splitting pass forward into Reese. Reese has a little look, threads it through, and the offside flag is raised. It wouldn't have counted anyway, but Amina Ekic almost had a chance to add to her goal from last weekend.
A great splitting run here in front of Reese, and then creating that space in behind. The timing just a bit off, but clever idea. Explosive run by Amina Ekic.
Ekic, who boasts the first goal in history back on inaugural weekend, took the penalty that helped Spokane Zephyr FC to that tie against Fort Lauderdale. So far in that deadlock again, this time in a 0-0 scoreline as a long ball is thrown in to the box. The pop pass can't return to its target. Spokane will have the throw. A shifty back pass. How's your touch, goalkeeper? Izzy Nino does enough. If you're Izzy Nino, you're not too happy with that pass coming back at you.
That's an impressive technical showcase right there by Nino, and one that was not expected from your own player.
My guess is Nino is very good at 5v2 and maybe some of the juggling drills as well to put that ball back like that. I would not have been happy with that one.
Yeah, the confidence that ball was played back with.
Yapel gets on the end of it. This time Nino will get a chance to display her catching ability with the bucket catch. Spokane looking to transition quickly. Going to ground was Braun in the center circle. Does enough to regain possession. Big switch over to Reese. Reese, first touch is good. Assessing options. Reese looking to go 1v1. Step over into the box. Reese cuts it back. Cleared away at the edge of the 6, but Taran Reese looks very good out there.
And those are the duels that Joe Johnson and this Spokane side are looking for. The isolation 1v1 out in those lanes 1 and 5 with Reese and Ekic.
Throw-in taken into the box. Trying to cushion, but defended well by Brooklyn. They'll swipe it clear and out for a throw-in just ahead of the halfway line. Windermere Foundation is thrilled to welcome our charity of the month. It's more than a home, it's a way to give back. Please visit our site at www.windermerefoundation.com.
We've seen this last few minutes, Spokane doing a good job of now skipping that first look. You get that initial check, you get a player coming into that space and the ability to play higher up the field. So you skip that first run and you find the second one, and now they're finding success creating those overloads they want, not only just out wide, but now in the midfield. You can see both these teams finding good rhythm on the ball.
But I think it's fair, growing pains expected. It's so early on in a season, new teammates, and the fact that they're still gelling together and being able to play these possessional styles, impressive. But unfortunately, the stat sheet hasn't mirrored that. It's Brooklyn with the lone shot off target as of now. Spokane yet to register their first shot of the night.
Yeah, and winning the battle of final third entries as well. You could see Brooklyn FC, 16 final third entries, and Spokane with the 12. And most recently, those for Spokane.
We saw Spokane with 66% of the possession. Unfortunately, haven't utilized that possession to create enough for head coaches Joe Johnson's liking as of yet, as offside flag is raised far side. Referee looks like she'll pull it back though. She saw a free kick behind that play, and since the free kick happened first, that will negate the offside. Sydney Cummings stands over this ball, won a title with Celtic over in Scotland. It's Cummings will float this ball forward, looking for a flick on. It's headed away though. Second ball won by Spokane, third ball won by Brooklyn, and that has been the story of the night right now, just not able to find that final pass in the attacking third for either sides.
And that's a great point. When you're playing it, and it's early on, as we see this played ball out of the back, when you're this early in the season, and as you mentioned, they're still having this growth and this development as teammates and getting to know each other, as we see another ball played out of bounds. But it's going to be about first, second, and third balls. It's going to be about putting yourself in position to challenge that first one and then to take control of that second ball.
See Samantha Rosette sorting out her socks before she takes this throw. Rosette will get it off of the bounce pass. Good footwork in the middle of the park, and it'll be returned back to Sydney Martinez, who's had a quiet night in her debut for USL Super League. Martinez yet to have to make a save. The Zephyr would like to change that now. But they'll have to make more entries into that final third as Cummings, long ball forwards, headed clear. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XMFC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk. Debuting on Wednesday, September the 11th, USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with hosts Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along on the Sirius XM app. And thank you to everyone tuning in on Sirius XMFC for this game. Able to save that in was Rosette. Good leg work from her. Chipping the ball forward, down the throat to Mackenzie George. George caught in two minds between the cross and the shot and just taps it into the thankful arms of Izzy Nino.
And it starts with anticipation by Rosette. Ability to climb the field, get herself into position.
Mackenzie George thought she'd done enough to earn the throw in there. Instead, it will be a Spokane possession. So we get a glance at Viva la Cultura. Great to see the diverse fan base filling in Washington. The beautiful game, so well known for bringing across everybody in the world to share that love for football, soccer, football, the beautiful game and the world it connects. Martinez to Pantuso. Martinez taking a heavy touch, caught under some pressure there. Risky business for the keeper. As Murray tried to punish, but instead thwarted by George. Just a little bit of a shaky moment for the goalkeeper, who's not seen much of the ball. That can be tough.
And reading those pressing cues for Spokane, understanding that when and where they can press Martinez into playing into tight area.
Here's Mackenzie Pluck outside the box, trying to cut round the defender. Great defensive play. Was recovers by Breslin. She'll cut it back now. Pluck again, winding into the box. Pluck! Big tackle out for the goal kick, but that one of the most promising attacking plays for Brooklyn FC.
And the anticipation by Scarpelli here to get on the ball again, and the ability for both these outside backs for Brooklyn FC to be explosive in climbing the field and joining attacks is paying dividends right now. They haven't created that one clear-cut opportunity, but they're asking a lot of different questions in and around the box.
Acting head coach Kristen Sample would like to see Mackenzie Pluck get more time on the ball based on that attacking play. Duke University, 107 appearances during her collegiate career. Passing now over to Pluck as she drives in, a cross comes shot, ricochets off the crossbar, loose ball into the box. Just not able to get on the end of it. Second opportunity, referee's flag is raised. Scarpelli won't have another chance.
The difficulty dealing with a ball played in like this, just left-footed, catching, making a decision, and fortunate that it comes off almost that corner of the goal.
Unbelievably not able to drop just in front of the on-rushing Yapel either. Brooklyn FC, though, have come closest now to the game's first goal as we pass the half-an-hour mark from One Spokane Stadium. Jessica Charman and Eric Dobransky here with you as, again, a little slow. Sydney Martinez there. Is she taking too much risk for you?
I think the ability to switch the point of attack in those moments is going to be important for Sydney Martinez. The positioning and the approach is going to be something that you want to see adjusted, because teams are going to pick up on that, knowing that once you receive it from that angle, that they can close down that space because you're unable to switch the point. So just a simple adjustment, something that they're going to take a look at.
Zephyr fans, get match ready with the latest Zephyr merchandise. Shop online or in the team store at the Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane. I talked about it in the pre-game show, Eric. These jerseys are fly. These designers for the USL Super League have done a grand job of great kits. Turan Reese will control it down. Back to Murray. Inside to Braun. Great give and go. Finds Murray. Murray through ball. Going down to ground. Spokane not able to get the final toe poke home.
And that's the urgency that Joe Johnson and her side are looking for. Quick one-touch ball played in. Releasing Katie Murray into that space and almost that slipped ball into Weinert.
Good goalkeeping in the end for Sydney Martinez to come off her line and smother. Had to be brave. She may be facing another attack here as Reese into the box. Reese stopping, shaping up options, squares the ball. And just over hits it slightly. Had more options inside the 18.
And both these teams exchanging turnovers in the build that are creating some dangerous opportunities for their opponent. And those are things that through this first half and going into halftime that you just settle in and you focus on those fine details.
Great boy. Ball in to Weinert from Reese. Reese gets it back. Reese trying to spin. And a last ditch challenge away. Pokes it into the arms of Sydney Martinez. And Martinez, after not touching the ball, has been called into regular action over the last 5.
But has proven to be up for the task.
Just taking her time with the ball in her hands right now. Getting her side to press up and relax a tiny bit. She does punt it long and out of play. Closest to it was Mackenzie George. Been all Spokane for the last 10 minutes or so as far side. Great move into the box. Square ball on the backside. Turan Reese says thank you very much. And Spokane Zephyr FC have the go-ahead goal. A smoking finish into the back of the net.
And that is the wide play that Spokane wants to showcase. This drive to the half space. It's 1v1 matchup. Ekic takes that touch. That first action followed by the second, and then the subtle movement by Weinert to open up that channel for Reese on that back post. You see Weinert looking to crash the face of goal, but holds up just a bit so there's no Brooklyn FC defenders in the way. And then Reese on that back post tucks this one away to put her team up 1-0.
Turan Reese with her first goal in USL Super League. Amina Ekic adds an assist to her goal from the inaugural match. So 2 players that are certainly ones to watch around USL Super League. Spokane Zephyr with the 1-0 lead.
And you mentioned it just a few moments ago, the activity that surrounded Sydney Martinez's goal had ramped up quite a bit the last few sequences, and Spokane feeling like they could turn defense into offense, winning that ball consistently through the build, and something that Brooklyn FC had done a terrific job of to manage through this first half as they earn another free kick.
Mackenzie George with a great individual effort to draw this free kick. Winding inside and chop down on the foul. Important delivery coming up for Brooklyn FC as they look to bounce back from the adversity of conceding their first goal in their first ever USL Super League match. Will be Hope Breslin stood over the free kick from quite some distance. Interesting to see a 4-player wall from this range.
And making sure that they're quick to detach here as you see George out on that right side, and you see another player up at the top of the screen.
Delivery will come in, floated in towards the back post, and again, not quite the execution that Brooklyn FC were looking for, particularly with the numerical advantage left from a 4-player wall.
Yeah, those are 2 free kicks that have gone well wide of Nino and goal, and still nothing to show for earning those free kicks. But Brooklyn FC have to feel positive about what they're creating. We talked about it, they have just not created that final action. They've won the ball in positive areas, they've created a lot of numbers up situations.
Hill will play give and go with Sydney Martinez in goal. Driven ball, pays off, but it is now dispossessed. Spokane looking to create now from the giveaway. Ball played wide, step over, into the box, strike into the hands of Sydney Martinez. But the shot tallies are adding up now for Spokane as they add another to their stat line. Zephyr fans, scan the QR code to get your single match tickets today. Talked about a sellout crowd on the inaugural match, a huge crowd, as you can hear on the broadcast, bringing the environment to Spokane. So excited to have their first professional women's soccer team here in Spokane, and the fans have certainly displayed how grateful they are to have this opportunity to come out and support women's soccer. Pantuso down the flank, looking for Rosette. Rosette, who's been busy up and down the pitch, earns a deep throw in.
And Rosette has made Reese defend deep into Spokane's territory.
Garziano threads it into George. George tries to pull it back. Couldn't find the target. Brooklyn do regain possession though through Kroger. Kroger, wide ball. As the cross is put in deep from Scarpelli. And out for the goal kick. Brooklyn have certainly spent time in the attacking third, just haven't been able to lead to many opportunities other than the crossbar strike.
And finding a lot of 1v1 opportunities inside that 18-yard box, in that half space. They get George faced up a few times there and just unable to get some of these services off. But the ability to create the link-up play, the combination, the rhythm in which and the tempo they're playing in that final third.
Bourgeois with some classy moves and then regains through Nino. Clark taking her time to assess and lays it forward. Spokane, again, I think they're checking out the positioning of Sydney Martinez and trying to catch her off guard.
I'm going to say that is playing high up the field when your team is not in possession.
One of those risk-reward for the modern-day goalkeeper, trying to be part and aggressive as Brooklyn spin it through. Nino high off her line to come and claim, but with that risk, Eric, always comes reward if they can pay off with the positioning.
It is, but to your point, it's been something that Spokane has identified, and we saw it early, and we continue to see it. So is that something that you take into halftime? And obviously it's something that they've built into their system. So it's not something that you're seeing for the first time if you're Brooklyn FC. It's something that you want Sydney Martinez involved in the build. You want her involved in that play if that ball's clipped over the top and there's space in behind.
Sydney Martinez playing the modern-day sweeper-keeper. So far hasn't been punished, but you have to think perhaps Jo Johnson might have a word with her team about picking the time to take a strike in the air if they catch her off her line. Rosette. The ball's played back into the back line through Brooklyn. Pantasso. Wide to Scarpelli. Splitting pass, Scarpelli will get on the end of it. And it's patient possession for Brooklyn right now. It's clear they want to keep the ball and set the tone, and that's a great attitude to have on the road. Big switch, though, is picked up well. Splitting pass. Martinez tried to come and claim. And just some growing pains as Pantuso took that one away from her keeper. Chasing this one down is Ekic. Ekic will save it on the byline. Ekic trying to skip round the challenge. She's thwarted by Scarpelli. Another underhit pass. Mackenzie Weiner almost on the end of it. Martinez will swipe it long to clear the danger.
And for Spokane, you could see them pushing to create a chance to go up 2-0. And for Brooklyn FC, you close out this first half. You make sure that you're either creating an opportunity to equalize, or you go into this break only down a goal, and you do look at a lot of the positives that you take from this first 45.
Clark spreading the ball wide now to Murray. She'll one-time pass it away. Kroger clears through the challenge. Brooklyn with an opportunity to break. Tackled away from Mackenzie George, out for the throw-in. So we tick down closer to the end of regulation. All eyes on the fourth official. George spins in the cross. Good goalkeeping by Izzy Nino to come neutralize any potential attack. We have 3 minutes of stoppage time. This halftime stoppage time is presented by Rosawa's Supermarkets. 3 minutes as Spokane look to add a goal for a cushion. Brooklyn FC would love to have a twist to the tail before going into the locker room with a goal of their own. Time for one more prominent attack. Sydney Cummings with possession. Bourgeois plays inside and back to Cummings. As they recycle to Izzy Nino, pretty clear that Spokane content with just starving out some clock right now. It's a game of keep away between Clark and Nino. That's where all those 5v2 come into play as Nino back to Clark. Brooklyn now trying to execute their press. As Nino sends it long. Turan Reese heads it centrally. And somehow Spokane maintain possession. Great play. Charging forward is Vigiano. Vigiano spreads the play wide to Ekic. And Vigiano back on possession. Good looking pass into the box. Challenge goes. Referee says Ekic was offside. Have to think that would have led to a whistle blown had Amina Ekic not been in the offside position. Big call from Adore Monroy and her AR. We'll get another look at this one and just how close it was.
And the timing is a bit off, but these are the passes that they were misfiring on earlier on in this first 45. These probing split passes.
George into the box, cuts it back. Strike from distance over the crossbar.
Almost looked like Pluck could take a touch there. She had the time and space right at the top of the 18-yard box.
Strong, so strong by Sophia Braun to draw that foul, and you just see a little bit of frustration sneaking into Brooklyn FC as it's starting to begin to look like they'll go in to the halftime break trailing 1-0. Nino clears it forward. Again, Spokane quickest to respond to the loose touch. As Mari forwards, and that will be it. Half-time from Spokane Stadium. It is Spokane Zephyr FC with the 1-0 lead. A 36th-minute goal from Taran Reese, the difference. Eric, what did you make of that first half and the debut from Brooklyn FC making their first appearance in USL Super League?
I think both teams are doing a good job of managing the ebbs and flows of this match. I think they're both asking different questions, they're accessing different spaces, and they're doing it a different way. But now it's just about cleaning up some of the turnovers that they're having in phase one of the attack.
We are going to be joined by Taran Reese. Taran with the 36th minute goal. Firstly, Taran, congratulations. How did it feel putting that ball in the back of the net?
It feels so good, especially here to be at home with all the fans. It's just such a good feeling. I can't even explain it.
Well, Taran, good luck in the second half. Go get into the locker room. But that finish, absolute class. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There was Taran Reese feeling good, thanking the fans. One Spokane Stadium has been absolutely popping for the first 45 minutes. We've still got more to come. Halftime action as we look to dig deeper into Spokane Zephyr FC and Brooklyn FC. 1-0, the halftime scoreline.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Catch Velocity FC before a road stretch. Saturday, September 14th versus South Georgia Tormenta FC. Fast-paced professional soccer as Velocity FC battles for a spot in the playoffs. right here at One Spokane Stadium. And it's Honor Educators Night. Wear your school colours and share your favourite teacher in our photo booth. Let's go Spo. Reserve your seats now.
De vez en cuando, todos queremos soltarnos. Solo necesitamos un poco de ayuda. Conozca Un Poco de Ayuda. El Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition 2024 pasa por cualquier terreno para que puedas darlo todo. Obtén una gran oferta en una Bronco Sport hoy mismo. Arrienda una Bronco Sport Wild Edition por $339 al mes por 36 meses o cómpralo con 3.9 por 36 y obtén $2,000 de bono Wild.
Welcome back to One Spokane Stadium, home of Spokane Zephyr FC. Scan now and you'll receive win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you, Caruso's, De Leon Tacos and Bar, The Burger Dot, Flat Stick Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's, Casa Tap House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub. Our score at halftime, 1-0 in favor of the home side, Spokane Zephyr FC, Brooklyn with no goals. But let's take a look at other action around USL Super League, starting with Lexicon.
And today, the Tampa Bay Sun go on the road, pick up their first 3 points as an organization in this inaugural season. What a terrific finish here, and led by 2 first-half goals, taking a 2-0 lead into the break, a goal in the 20th and a goal in the 31st. But Lexington comes out in the second half, scores in the 57th, but then Tampa Bay Sun tuck away a goal in the 79th by substitute Ashley Clark. And then Lexington make this game tighter here in the 83rd, making this a 3-2 match, but the Tampa Bay Sun do take the 3 points.
Goals galore in that match. We'll be hoping for more in the second half from Spokane. Your halftime score in USL Super League, Spokane Zephyr FC 1, Brooklyn FC 0. We'll be back with more coming up next.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Catch Velocity FC before a road stretch. Saturday, September 14th versus South Georgia Tormenta FC. Fast-paced professional soccer as Velocity FC battles for a spot in the playoffs. Right here at One Spokane Stadium. And it's Honor Educators Night. Wear your school colours and share your favourite teacher in our photo booth. Let's go Spo. Reserve your seats now. I'm a real wild one.
De vez en cuando, todos queremos soltarnos. Solo necesitamos un poco de ayuda. Conozca un poco de ayuda. El Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition 2024 pasa por cualquier terreno para que puedas darlo todo. Obtén una gran oferta en una Bronco Sport hoy mismo. Arrienda una Bronco Sport Wild Edition por $339 al mes por 36 meses o cómpralo con 3.9 por 36 y obtén $2,000 de bono Wild.
News and notes around the league from USL Super League as we take a glance in week 4. Professional debuts within the first 5 matches of the inaugural season. 34 players have made their professional debuts. And Eric, that's what USL Super League is all about.
I mean, we're just in exciting times right now, and Lexington opening their brand new stadium that obviously was debuted today with that match against Tampa Bay Sun. Unfortunately falling 3-2 in that opener. And then player of the month, Ashley Orcus, 2 draws to open the season for the Tampa Bay Sun, and then the win today.
And she has the save of the month as well for August with a penalty save. Upcoming schedule, and goodness gracious, we have been waiting for it. DC Power FC with their home opener taking on Fort Lauderdale United FC, but 2 other cracking games as well.
Yeah, and that going back to that DC Power match at Fort Lauderdale United side, suffering their first defeat of the season just a few days ago, and I know it's early on in the season, but these are where these teams want to get off to a great start.
Remember, all games will be streamed on Peacock, so make sure you're keeping eyes on the USL Super League. Hello, Zephyr fans. Scan the QR code for your chance to win a $100 gift card to Rosaires Supermarket, official grocery store of your Spokane Velocity, Zephyr FC. Halftime score, Spokane Zephyr FC with a 1-0 lead over Brooklyn FC. More to come.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with 3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Catch Velocity FC before a road stretch. Saturday, September 14th versus South Georgia Tormenta FC. Fast-paced professional soccer as Velocity FC battles for a spot in the playoffs. Right here at One Spokane Stadium. And it's Honor Educators Night. Wear your school colours and share your favourite teacher in our photo booth. Let's go Spo. Reserve your seats now.
De vez en cuando, todos queremos soltarnos. Solo necesitamos un poco de ayuda. Conozca un poco de ayuda. El Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition 2024 pasa por cualquier terreno para que puedas darlo todo. Obtén una gran oferta en una Bronco Sport hoy mismo. Arrienda una Bronco Sport Wild Edition por $339 al mes por 36 meses o cómpralo con 3.9 por 36 y obtén $2,000.
We're back at One Spokane Stadium for Spokane Zephyr FC versus Brooklyn FC in the USL Super League. Through the first 45 minutes, it was Spokane Zephyr FC with the 1-0 lead in Brooklyn FC's first ever action in USL. A goal from Tehran reached the difference in the 36th minute, but still so much football left to be played. I'm Jessica Charman alongside Eric Dobransky. Strap yourselves in because the second 45 here is bound to be a roller coaster. Spokane Zephyr will be in the all-black, kicking off 45 minutes left of action from Washington. Brooklyn in the gray jerseys from right to left. And Eric, after that first 45 minutes, what do you think these coaches have been talking about to their respective sides?
Yeah, you got to believe that Joe Johnson and Spokane have to be pleased with how they started to begin to find success in that phase 1, phase 2, and then going into phase 3 of their possession. This is a team that wants to be dominant on the ball, play front-footed, and then for Brooklyn FC and acting head coach Kristen Sample, it's going to be about converting the turnovers in the attacking half into solid chances and final actions.
Alyssa Bourgeois with some incredible strength as a little give and go looking for Ekic. Off her line, Sydney Martinez had to be fast, but Amina Ekic looking to start this second half. How she finished the first, had an assist on that game-leading goal.
Both teams featuring electric wide play. We saw it throughout the first half for Brooklyn FC. The questions and the activity of Mackenzie George. Rosette out from that outside back position, again attacking here on the ball.
Rosette charging towards the 18, squares it to Breslin. Breslin outside the box. And you just saw Rosette not having the legs to catch on the end of that service.
And then on the Spokane side, Amina Ekic obviously having the assist on that first half goal. Both these teams showcasing their ability on the ball in those deeper areas, those half spaces, their intent.
Martinez didn't take her sweet time that time. I think it's clear that she's learned her lesson, that they are going to press her high, and the Brooklyn FC goalkeeper makes a good decision in that moment to swipe it clear.
And that's a great point, because you ask about what maybe Joe Johnson and her side were discussing. That's going to be something that I don't even know if, as a coaching staff, you need to bring up. As players, you take a look at that and you just make note of it and say, hey, you read those pressing cues and you can find yourself in a successful position.
Rosette chips the ball forward, a foot race on this right-hand flank. Great pace. Kept in play. Incredible turn of pace by Mackenzie Pluck. She can't earn the corner, but Mackenzie Pluck has some speed. Mackenzie Pluck, of course, struck the crossbar while the game was at 0-0 with an audacious effort. Acting head coach Kristen Sample would like to see Pluck get more touches on the ball in this second half. The ball's cushioned down by Clark. She put it down the middle of the pitch, and another wayward pass, this time by Marley Canales. And Canales probably hasn't quite lived up to the performance of the first game today, hasn't been as clean in her possession. The ball blocked off of George, but George in the corner flag forces the toe poke away by Katie Murray. And Canales set a very high standard for herself in the last game. We talked about in the opening, 86% passing accuracy. Needs to try and reach those numbers in the second half. It's poaching away. Brooklyn FC, a spinning strike blocked on the edge of the 18. So we take a look at the stats right now through the first 49 minutes. Spokane, as expected, leading possession 60-40, but shots even in terms of results, 4 for Brooklyn, but none on target right now. That's going to be the level of concern for acting head coach Kristen Sample.
And that goes back to converting those, that regaining a possession 30, 35 yards away from goal and finding that final action, finding that final opportunity. As you mentioned, 4 shots, 0 on goal, so they're just missing that decisive moment.
We saw Kristen Sample boast a UEFA A license, a lot of experience as a goalkeeper coach as well. Kristen Sample as the acting head coach on the sidelines today for Brooklyn FC.
Whereas you saw the 2 shots from Spokane, both on target, so you have fewer shots, but not always about the quantity, it's about the quality there in that final third.
And composure would be the word right now.
That's a great point.
And Brooklyn FC lacked a little bit of that composure in front of goal, but they might have a chance here.
And expected when you're playing your first ever match together. And for Spokane, they're going to look at it. This is the second straight game they take a 1-0 lead into halftime.
Driving forward right now is Vigiano. Vigiano plays it forward. Back to goal was Weinert. She'll find Canales. Better delivery from Canales to that left-hand flank. It's Reese, chipped cross. Martinez with a very important diving catch.
Just as I mentioned, this being the second straight game, and I know there's been a couple weeks in between, that they carry that 1-0 lead into the break as we see Reese driving and putting it on that left foot. And the layers that they have in and around the box, Spokane has to be pleased with. Just tough to beat. Goalkeeper like Sydney Martinez, so aggressive off her line, so aware of the traffic.
Sydney Martinez, such an important testament to USL Super League and the pathway to professionalism. Had a great time in USLW League with Tormenta, a 2022 champion, an MVP of that championship game, a Golden Glove winner. And I think that's just such a great testament to the way that players can cultivate through this pathway with USL on the women's side, with the Academy as well being such a pivotal piece too.
I mean, just to have that clear pathway, I can't speak to how important that is for players and their dream of playing professionally and what the W League has done. I mean, the structure and the professionalism that you continue to see each summer from all these teams and these organizations has been tremendous.
The addition of the USLW League almost doubled the spots for professional soccer players on the female side in the United States. So we're all about making opportunities, not just on the pitch, in the coaching, in the broadcasting. It's about growing the game for women in sports. So USL Super League really breaking down barriers. So we'll see a free kick for Brooklyn FC. We'll start it through the back line, and that just not the service that was needed. A poor decision. Was trying to keep that in play on the far side was Kelsey Hill, and you can put it down to growing pains, but this season will be unforgiving if Brooklyn FC don't find that chemistry quick.
And a lot of the miscues, mispasses are things, to your point. You look back at the tape, you look back at the positioning, you look back at some of the balls that were played and what situations needed it, whether it was a different shape of it, different pace of it. Those are fixable things, and those are things that as you begin to grow and collectively get to know each other as teammates, obviously they've trained for several weeks now, but until you're playing somebody other than your own team and your own teammates, it's where you problem solve, and that's going back to Jo Johnson and her side from that match with Fort Lauderdale United. Can you go ahead and find that second goal that creates a bit more distance to pick up your first ever 3 points at home? And if you can't, as this second half wears on, can you have the ability to close this game out?
A cushion is what Spokane are looking for here. And this could be an opportunity to grasp it, but some good defense out the back. It's Brooklyn still searching for that elusive first shot on target. Won't happen here with that overhit pass. Sarah Clark in the back line. Across to Sydney Cummings. And finally to Bourgeois. Bourgeois with some nifty footwork to recycle back to Clark, and it's more of the same patient possessional play that has seen Spokane dominate with the lion's share of possession today.
And for Brooklyn FC, next up on the schedule at Tampa Bay Sun, the team that picked up their first 3 points of the season today on the road at Lexington. And then for Spokane, another home game. It's Carolina and then DC Power, and then flip the schedule and go to DC Power.
That through ball will trickle straight into the hands of Izzy Nino. You mentioned Spokane with a heavily loaded home schedule to begin this season. And they're taking advantage of it to really attract in a fantastic crowd. But it's going to be difficult when the tune is switched and they have to make all of those long journeys east of the Mississippi River. Some nifty footwork far side, a toe poke away. We talk about Spokane Zephyr FC, proudly the only team in USL Super League to the west of the Mississippi River. So the longest journey for everybody else. And obviously that plays a role as George back to goal. Spun in by Clark, headed down right into the hands of Izzy Nino. Great positioning from the goalkeeper.
And a quality service here from this right side, and they have two players. It's like getting on that far post. Looks like Isabel Cox. As you mentioned, Nino in good positioning, not having to make that big save as she was able to move left to right.
And it was Emily Yapel coming out of the action, being replaced by the aforementioned Izzy Cox that had the header. A halftime substitution for Brooklyn FC. Almost an under-hit pass, but Sydney Cummings will come to retrieve. Bourgeois. Play it down the line. Finds Braun. Braun to Ekic. Ekic back to Braun. Has triangles with Bourgeois. She'll try and go around the defender, beats her. Bourgeois winds up the cross, headed away. Brooklyn breathe as they try and transition quickly and capitalize on the numbers that Spokane have sent forwards. Carried well. Heading into the box is George. George through one. George can't get there ahead of an on-rushing Izzy Nino. Mackenzie George's eyes lit up as she went through on goal.
And the relentless defensive ability by Katie Murray featured here. Gets beat on this initial exchange, but relentless in that second and third action, able to shield this ball into the hands of Nino. But that's something that Brooklyn FC wanted to take advantage of and exploit, is those moments where...
And Martinez almost caught off her line again. Was able to step through and swipe it away this time. And the positioning of the goalkeeper has been certainly an eye-opening point for Brooklyn FC. She's handled it so far. As Nino composed, passes it wide to Cummings. Big switch over to Ekic. Ekic, her touch a little heavy and a beautiful slide challenge to recover.
Good tackle there by Scarpelli. But this first touch by Mina Ekic takes her right into the path to goal, and Scarpelli up to the task on that tackle, and you have to defend a free kick, but well defended there.
This is an ICCU corner kick, your financial success fan club. That tackle from Scarps, as she's friendlily known. You saw that jersey on the back. We'll set up a Spokane corner. It's floated towards the edge of the 6 and cleared away. Brooklyn will send it forward. A crunching tackle. Was Marley Canales guilty in the challenge? Mackenzie Pluck chopped down. Referee Adore Monroy will show a yellow card to Marley Canales. So she becomes the second Zephyr player tonight to be put into the book. She joins Taran Reese.
And another player that we mentioned in the first half that now has to be even more careful in some of the tackles that she engages in there at midfield. So Reese, the early yellow card in the first half, talked about being involved in those 1v1 duels. Now Canales, same thing for a player that so heavily featured both on and off the ball.
Ekic gets it back off the pass. And she'll start back with Cummings. Cummings passes, picked away though by Izzy Cox. Cox, the halftime substitute, with plenty of energy left in the tank. Bourgeois switches to the back line. Long switch over to that left-hand flank. It's Reese with a beautiful move. Reese! Taran Reese goes for goal in incredible style, and it wasn't too far off for the crossbar.
This ball played in behind to Reese. Running at goal, finding access to this half space, beating Rosette. Chooses to take it herself. Gets it over the crossbar.
We're seeing a double substitution for Spokane right now. Emma Jaskanik coming in to play. She'll replace Sarah Clark. We're also rather surprisingly seeing Taran Reese exit the field of play.
Yeah, Reese and Ekic have been a handful in that wide space.
Taran Reese right now with the game-leading goal, exits the field in the 63rd minute. Zephyr fans, scan the QR code to get your single match tickets today. It's the game heating up. More physical challenges flying in. Reminder, it was Jody Ukekul coming in as well for Spokane.
Ukekul will look to build on that foundational play that Reese and Ekic have displayed. Continue to find that success out in that wide area. You can see that Spokane is going outside in and then finding success in those outside channels.
For sure, Jess Kennett getting involved right away. She finds Ekic. Inside to Canales, picked up that yellow card. Will have to adjust her style of play. Wide ball. Played inside now, looking to turn. Brooklyn getting bodies back behind the ball. Done well to stay compact the majority of the game. Just one lapsing moment that saw Amina Ekic serve to Taran Reese for the goal that has us in a 1-0 lead for Spokane. As on frame, the attempted strike goes wide. It was a shot coming in from Jess Garziano, and Garziano couldn't quite bend it in.
And this is where Spokane has to be careful, because they've created some of Brooklyn FC's best chances. Now, credit to Brooklyn, they have read the cues to be able to not only first ball press, but that second and third support. But Spokane is really turning the ball over in tough areas, and they haven't had to pay for it just yet. But you don't want to see that if you're Joe Johnson and her side, especially being in familiar territory here, 2 games in a row, up 1-0, now going into the 66th minute.
When you look for Brooklyn FC, though, right now, they'll be encouraged. They've had 7 shots. 1 on goal is the issue, but 7 shots means they're spending time in the attacking third, Eric.
They are. They're just looking for that decisive moment and finding that success in turning Spokane over.
It's that same word, though, composure, that we come back to for Brooklyn FC in front of goal. There's a big challenge in. Sending the ball forwards round the keeper, and Martinez, certainly her bread and butter, coming to swoop those ones away off of her line.
And we've talked about Sydney Martinez's positioning some through this game, and quick off the line, and terrific intervention by Sydney Martinez there.
Heading forwards are Spokane. Sloppy pass picked up by Brooklyn FC. Samantha Kroger with some hard work in the middle of the park. For me, Kroger's been a bit of an unsung hero in that midfield for Brooklyn FC, a workhorse, the 22-year-old that prepped at Rutgers. See her dropping into that back line now. Clear soccer IQ with her positioning in the midfield. Taken away, though. Spokane sending the ball forward. Sydney Martinez again making us eat our words about the positioning, because it's working.
Well, and again, the point that you made in the first half, it's that risk reward, and that play right there is the reward portion of it. You're higher up the line, and you're quick to be able to recover a turnover in the build and limit the damage to just a throw in. But we've talked about some of the attacks for Brooklyn FC that have sputtered out. And that's sometimes the hardest area to get clicking early on, is that final third, those final actions where space is restricted, the timing and the movement have to be precise. There's subtle things in the build that'll create that opportunity as well.
Garziano with a beautiful pass forwards. Here's George. George gets it wide. It's Rosette inside the box, feints the first cross, tries to go the other way. Blocked well by Spokane. You hear every play from Spokane being greeted with cheers from the fans as we see more substitutions coming into play. Brooklyn FC now diving into their bench. That'll be the last of Samantha Rosette's action. I think you saw she was starting to get a little bit gassed there as she gives her defender Alison Pentuso the captain's armband. Mackenzie George also exiting the field of play. Luana Gabriaz will make her USL Super League debut coming into the field, as will Carlin Presley. The inaugural USL Super League season has officially begun. Visit USLSuperLeague.com for all the latest information, analysis, and insight into all things Super League. It's a long ball forward. This time Martinez is having to retreat. It's Ekic in the box. Important recovery challenge out the back. It's really well done by Brooklyn's Kelsey Hill.
And you have to feel that if Spokane is going to push and find that second goal, it's going to come from the play of Amina Ekic. Been heavily involved here in the second half, getting in behind, creating those 1v1 battles, getting on that far post when build-up is along that left flank.
Amina Ekic with a goal and an assist in this Super League season. The assist coming today, the goal coming in inaugural weekend in the 1-1 draw against Fort Lauderdale.
You talk about influence on results.
Through pass, just overhit in that moment, and Martinez will come to grab. And she's probably feeling a little bit tired right now, Sydney Martinez, to be honest, because she certainly gets her steps in up and down that goal mouth. She'll see her punt the ball long. Long indeed is the word from Martinez's punt that almost goes to the opposite goalkeeper's box. As Brooklyn trying to get on the second ball and do. It's tapped up to Izzy Cox. Cox can't control. Kroger released, and the foul is called against Cox in favor of Spokane Zephyr FC. We get a close-up of the conversation with the referee, Adore Monray. And as expected, players won't always be happy with the referee. Hope Breslin petitioning a tiny bit, but will not change the decision. Izzy Nino will take the goal kick. Just under 20 minutes remaining in this one from One Spokane Stadium. It's in the middle of the park. Spokane looking to control. Into the back line with Cummings. Good challenge towards Jaskanik.
Great tackle there. Good link-up play from Spokane. You could feel like they're getting into a flow there in the final third. Getting the positioning right. Movement. You can see that they're reading what each ball needs, what initiates the attack.
Cummings will get the ball off of Nino as Spokane just look to suffocate the oxygen out of this game. Heading forward, Bourgeois. Inside pass towards Jasenik. Now taking up the ground is Bourgeois. Across to Murray. Cross first time, blocked away, out for a throw. Important positioning by Carlin Presley. The second half substitution with the block away.
And the question becomes, how does Spokane manage as we approach that 15-minute mark remaining in this match? Where do you pick and choose the moments that you want to go forward and commit those numbers and leave yourself possibly susceptible to a counterattack? You want to push for that second goal, especially this late in the game, but you also talked about that risk reward from the goalkeeping side of the positioning for Sydney Martinez, that risk reward of pushing for a second, but also leaving some space available higher up the field.
Ekic recycles to Bourgeois. Square ball, spun in towards the edge of the 6, headed down. Martinez makes the save. The header down came from Jody Ukekul. Ukekul, one of those flurry of substitutions in the second half for Joe Johnson's Spokane side. Have seen Spokane increase their shots in this second half. 3 shots, 2 on target. Brooklyn with 8, as we mentioned, but just the 1 lone save for Izzy Nino in goal so far. So player down behind the field for Spokane is now getting back to her feet. Was Emma Jaskaniec down in the center circle. She is now up, walking gingerly. This foul will be called against Spokane, and the foul was called against Jody Ukekul. Brooklyn FC have had some issues with their set-piece service. This service needs to be better, Eric.
Yeah, committing the amount of numbers that they're committing here, and you're going to see Scarpelli enter the final third as well. To your point, the free kicks that they've had within this distance have wanted those back. They've put them well wide of frame. They want to put something right between that penalty kick spot and that top of the 18. Give your team a chance to slight deflection.
Breslin into the hands of Nino. Good goalkeeping from Izzy Nino, but Breslin took it a little bit too closely to the 6'1" goalkeeper. Zephyr fans, get match ready with the latest Zephyr merchandise. Shop online or in the team store at the Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane. Offside flag was raised in that Spokane Zephyr attack.
And this is where, when you look back at this match, and especially how this second half has played out in regards to the Spokane side of it, there's going to be some areas you can look at with just a little bit more patience on the dribble in midfield, because they're getting those overloads, they're getting those matchups higher up the field with the center forward, with that outside forward, the Amina Ekic, you're seeing Weiner, but it's just a bit too quick to play that ball in behind, and you found some success, but you take that ball and a couple more dribbles, you make somebody have to commit to stepping into that space, and then now you're able to slip that ball in.
We get a glance at the sideline with acting head coach Kristen Sample. She's with skipper right now, Samantha Rosette, who exited the pitch on the last substitution. Player down right now for Brooklyn FC. As we see a player down and injured, one of the stars of the game in this match right now has to be Brooklyn FC's Sydney Martinez. She's been the most busy player on the pitch. Let's take a look at some of her highlights, not just because I'm a former goalkeeper. Right?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's been a busy night indeed, and having to face a number of different angles, facing the box, and Spokane has done it in those half spaces. They've been able to break through centrally. Some of those 1v1 duels out in that wide area, and then the layers and the commitment to the spaces, but Sydney Martinez has been up to the task.
And Sydney Martinez, the expectation was high coming into this one for the goalkeepers. Played internationally with Puerto Rico, and with all the accolades she had at the USL W League level, the transition into USL Super League has been seamless.
Well, and then you look at that first goal and the only goal of this match. I mean, there's not much that Sydney Martinez is going to do about that, working from right to left, and really needed that space occupied, that ball crossed by Amina Ekic for that goal, and then the runs by Weiner and Reese.
So we get that close-up of Sydney Martinez, but as much as she'll be proud of her individual performance, it will mean not too much to her unless she can create something in the attacking third for her side. Brooklyn FC right now set to drop their season opener in USL Super League action. But they will have a chance, perhaps thwarted by some good Spokane defense. See Izzy Cox, who was the injured player for Brooklyn. Brooklyn currently playing with few players. But a through ball into the box. And the story of the night as that one goes wide. Brooklyn FC have the opportunities, they just haven't been able to test Izzy Nino in goal.
And as you see this clock get through the 80th minute, for Brooklyn FC, you've been patient. You've created some moments that you haven't been able to find that decisive opportunity, but you just need one. You need one in this final 10 minutes. You can equalize, and then if you find that equalizer in enough time, you can push for that second goal. But this is where I was just talking about, that the decisions and how they want to see this game out from Spokane. With 10 minutes left, do you continue to push for that second goal, or do you now commit numbers to get quickly behind the ball in every sequence?
Hope Breslin tugged to the ground in that challenge. We'll see her serve with a free kick. As the ball's sent long. It's cleaned up by Spokane's back line. And into that deep position is Samantha Kroger to try and reset to Kelsey Hill. Kroger, she's played midfield, defense, all over the pitch. She'll try and get the attack started, but a big crunching tackle through Spokane. We dink down the line, and who else but Samantha Kroger to recover by the corner flag. She'll see it out of play for a Sydney Martinez goal kick. You mentioned 8.5 minutes left to play. Expect hefty stoppage time as well. Plenty of injuries and substitutions. We'll see referee Adore Monroy be generous with the number given. And Spokane with a beautiful move. Far side, driven shot. Martinez yet again, brick wall in net. Stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super League newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Another free kick for Brooklyn FC.
And just as I asked the question of how does Spokane want to manage these final 7 minutes or so, obviously with the additional time at the end, but same thing for Brooklyn FC. You know, you've trained this, you've talked about this. Obviously, this is the first time you're seeing it in real time. Down a goal in the 83rd minute. You talk about tactically what you want to do as we see this service.
And that time was a more encouraging service, swung in, almost gave an opportunity to flick it towards frame. It was Kelsey Hill the closest to it.
For Brooklyn FC, are you going to just naturally allow that shape to add an additional attacker to find this equalizer? Great ball in.
And here's the opportunity. Sydney Martinez off her line yet again with the swipe away clearance. She might have your heart in her mouth, but she certainly knows what she is doing in goal. Should have never doubted a player with her accolades. Brooklyn have a player limping. Spokane will continue to play forwards. Cross into the area on the volley. Not a bad technique at all from Jody Yukeko. A clean volley that didn't miss by big margins.
And rapid interplay along that right side. A driven service.
Brooklyn head to their bench one more time, looking to add some more attacking presence. It is a number that we haven't been provided on our roster in number 5, so we will get up to that change in numbers soon. Perhaps a jersey switch as Brooklyn FC threaded pass forwards. 1v1, huge save, Izzy Nino. And Nino then cuts down the player. Unnecessary for Nino, a rush of blood to the head after a gigantic save. And Adore Monroy rightly points to the spot. From hero to villain for Izzy Nino in this moment.
And sorry, we've talked about the composure in the final third for Brooklyn FC, and then Nino, terrific save here, but just has to have the composure of knowing where that Brooklyn attacker is and not have to make a play there. Just scramble back to goal, let your teammates slow the play down.
She did receive a yellow card in the play as well. It was Luana Gabrias with the awesome skills to thwart and draw the foul. And heading to the spot right now, an opportunity for Jess Garziano to score Brooklyn FC's first goal in history. Garziano, an All-American with St. John's University. 12 yards out. Garziano versus Nino. Garziano puts it straight down the middle. And Brooklyn FC have their first goal in USL Super League. Jess Garziano, cool as can be, slots it past Izzy Nino for the equalizer.
And the confidence to step up and in the play from substitute. Gabrias there earning the penalty kick, and then the timing and the deception on the approach, getting Nino to already go to her right and makes it easy selection to go down the middle. Now what does Spokane's response look like?
It's fair to say that Brooklyn FC have deserved it. When you look at those statistics, 9 shots, 2 on target now with the penalty kick. And in their first game, they have battled hard and to keep themselves alive at the end of the match. And as you mentioned, the substitute performance from Luana Gabrias to come into the game, to transition and draw that foul, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the timing of the run to not only force the first save from Nino, but the awareness to stick with it and coming off that blind shoulder and earning that penalty kick.
And Jess Garziano had to be brave. It takes a lot to step up in your side's first ever game, to put yourself in that vulnerable position from the penalty spot. She did not skip a beat. Still time for a final turn in the tail. And right now, Brooklyn FC look the most likely. A strike is saved by Izzy Nino. It was a winding run forwards by Isabel Cox to get off the strike. Too close to Nino in goal. You feel it with Brooklyn FC right now, but it's leaving them vulnerable. And spinning in across was Jennifer Vetter. Vetter's cross straight into the palms of a thankful Sydney Martinez. You have to feel, as we look at Sydney Martinez in goal, for the goalkeeper on the other end of the pitch, Izzy Nino, who made a brilliant 1v1 save, but just had the rush of blood in the head to try and get the ball recycled after conceding the penalty.
We see the involvement of Grabias here to finish this match off. Watch out if you're Spokane for that center forward.
Vetla into the danger zone. Cleared away one time by the back line. Still with Spokane.
So clever with the movement, Grabias is.
Winding inside now. A strike goes wide, and we do see 5 minutes of stoppage time right now, and this halftime stoppage is presented by Rousseau's Supermarkets.
And plenty of time for either of these teams to make that last-minute statement. Just as I mentioned with Brooklyn FC, they were looking for one opportunity in that final 10 minutes. Did it with earning that penalty.
Ball into the box. A call for a penalty. You can hear the crowd. They want a foul. We'll have to get another look at just how close this one was to a potential foul for Spokane.
See Weinert here in this space right at the top of the penalty area, and Tuso, the back of Weinert. As you mentioned, this crowd begging for a penalty here.
Scan now and you will win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you, Caruso's, De Leon Taco and Bar, the Burger Dock, Flat Stick Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's, Casa Tap House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub. Certainly opened up, and now Brooklyn FC through Izzy Cox. She'll cut the ball back to the penalty spot. It's swiped away, last ditch. As Braun sends it forwards. Jennifer Vetter tries the long ball. Just a little rushed in that moment with Martinez off her line to clear.
And we talked about the adjustments in terms of where that starting point is for Sydney Martinez. That also has to adjust what kind of ball you're looking for in behind.
And another overhit pass. As tired legs, fatigue bound to come into play. Okay.
See this final 3 minutes. This is something that has been run through practice, and obviously we talked about the difference between the training ground and doing it in a game, but you rehearse this enough over the coming weeks. You know your runs, you know your role, now execute it.
Sophia Braun tasked with this important service in the waning moments of this match. Two-player wall for Brooklyn FC. Braun has one hand up. Braun swings it in towards the penalty spot, cleared away at the back post. Be recovered by Yuka Cole, but strong defending by Brooklyn FC. So well played in that defensive line. Carlin Presley composed in drawing the foul. You can see the mindset of Sydney Martinez right now as she tries to drain a few seconds off the clock. Brooklyn FC content with a point, but they'll go for 3. There's a cross too close to Izzy Nino, and you heard her call for it. She bolted out right away to get an attack started. Cutting was Braun. Square ball knocked wide now to Presley. Cummings has possession. Final minute from One Spokane Stadium. Bourgeois tries to cross it early. Taken down well in the middle of the park. Here is Bourgeois. Bourgeois, early cross, open header. Was a good-looking header. Off of the head of Emma Jaskaniak. Jaskaniak, difficult to really test the goalkeeper from 12 yards out with the head. Sydney Martinez not making many fans behind that goal for her time-wasting efforts. She won't mind one bit. She's not here to make friends. She's here to make saves, and make saves is exactly what Sydney Martinez has done in goal tonight. Time running out, and that is it. From One Spokane Stadium, the final score, Spokane Zephyr FC 1, Brooklyn FC 1. A night to remember for Brooklyn FC. Their first ever goal in club history through the boots of Jess Garziano from the penalty spot, and their first point of the season as well. Spokane Zephyr will feel disappointed having got the lead in the 36th minute through a fantastic finish from Taran Reese. Eric, who feels the hardest done by in this game?
Yeah, it's always that saying that goals change games, and the timeliness of goals also change narratives. And you mentioned it, Spokane, they're going to be disappointed with only walking away with a point here tonight. Almost scripted the same as their last match, taking a 1-0 lead into the break and then conceding late, even later tonight. And then for Brooklyn FC, feeling good about opening their season a long way from home and going into an environment like One Spokane Stadium and earning a point where they really found moments and momentum throughout this match.
Not just earning, but deserving. Brooklyn outshot Spokane 10-7, 2-3 on target. One of those shots on target for Brooklyn, obviously the penalty kick. When you look at the possession, it was always going to be dominant for the home side, Eric. 62.6 possession in favor of Spokane Zephyr FC. They played the ball really well around their midfield and back line.
They did, and the tempo they set throughout, and for the most part, their rest defense was solid, and finding those layers throughout in each of those phases was important.
We are joined by the woman of the moment, Jess Garziano, who scored the first ever goal for Brooklyn FC. Jess, congratulations. How were you feeling in that moment, stepping up to take the penalty?
I mean, pretty nerve-wracking, but it was an awesome moment, and I'm proud we got the tie on the road.
Yeah, Jess, take us through your thoughts of overall your team's performance. Obviously, kicking off your inaugural season tonight on the road. Take us through your thoughts.
Yeah, I think first game, obviously, there's a lot of energy and a lot of chaotic energy. So I think next game we just need to do better of channeling that and completing our passes. But I think we did a good job on the road tonight, and I'm excited for the next game.
Goals win games, but I want you to touch just for a moment on the performance of Sydney Martinez in goal. She was a sweeper keeper, came through. How proud of you are you of your number one tonight?
I mean, she's amazing. Every day in practice, she steps up big, and we're so proud of her, and she really helped us today.
Well, Jess, you have the first ever goal in history for Brooklyn FC. Congratulations. Go enjoy this moment with your team.
Thank you so much.
That was Jess Garziano, the first ever goal scorer for Brooklyn FC. But it's time to look at tonight's play of the match, which is brought to you by Modelo, the mark of a fighter. And that has to go to our other goal of the game, Spokane Zephyr FC with a brilliant attack.
And on the dribble, Amina Ekic driving into that half space, and then the runs and the layers to those runs from Spokane, leaving Reese wide open on that far post. Nothing that Sydney Martinez could do about that, and that made that 1-0 going into the break.
1-1, the final score from One Spokane Stadium. Spokane Zephyr FC versus Brooklyn FC. We're going to be back with some further breakdown in just a moment. Stick and stay on Peacock for USL Super League.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Catch Velocity FC before a road stretch. Saturday, September 14th versus South Georgia Tormenta FC. Fast-paced professional soccer as Velocity FC battles for a spot in the playoffs. Right here at One Spokane Stadium. And it's Honor Educators Night. Wear your school colours and share your favourite teacher in our photo booth. Let's go Spo. Reserve your seats now.
De vez en cuando, todos queremos soltarnos. Solo necesitamos un poco de ayuda. Conozca un poco de ayuda. El Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition 2024 pasa por cualquier terreno para que puedas darlo todo. Obtén una gran oferta en una Bronco Sport hoy mismo. Arrienda una Bronco Sport Wild Edition por $339 al mes por 36 meses o cómpralo con 3.9 por 36 y obtén $2,000 de bono Wild.
Welcome back to One Spokane Stadium. A 1-1 thriller of a draw in USL Super League between Spokane Zephyr FC and Brooklyn FC. Jessica Charman alongside Eric Dobransky. And Eric, let's take a look back at this game because it had me on the edge of my seat.
It did. It was a game that featured opportunities galore, and it starts with this opportunity by Pluck on that left foot. It's that corner of the crossbar, and then Spokane started to grow into the match in terms of the tempo, and you see this 1v1 duel, and then on the dribble by Amina Ekic that leads to the first goal by Reese. They carry that 1-0 advantage. You can see the drive here, the spacing, the finish, and just like their first match against Fort Lauderdale United, they carry that 1-0 lead into the break, and then Luana Grabias was a substitute that just flipped this game. I mean, the activity, the clever runs, earns this penalty, and the finish here. Garziano gets the first goal in Brooklyn FC history and equals the 1 point for her side.
Final score from One Spokane Stadium in USL Super League. Another draw for Spokane Zephyr FC. A 1-1 tie with the newest team in town, Brooklyn FC, who opened their inaugural season with a draw. From my broadcast partner, Eric Dobransky, I've been Jessica Charman. Thank you for watching USL Super League on Peacock. We'll be back with more soon.